Dad, this isn't another I hate you poem. I've written so many of those on the inside of my skull, it'd be too easy to write another I hate you poem. I think I've grown so used to avoiding your international phone calls that not thinking of you has become a subconscious habit. I mean, let's get real though. A few times I can muster the thought of you. It usually brings up thoughts of jail, abuse, and a question of how I can share the same blood of someone who has eviscerated the spine of his own family. But sometimes I get so caught up in my own nightmares that I don't stop to consider yours. The question being, who is your real father? Carlos, my dad, was a pudgy boy with a belly full of love running up and down the streets of El Salvador. Can you hear him screaming in the kitchens of forgotten houses? His father coming home from long nights of drinking with the local coffee bean farmers, an innocent hood child, being stripped of his childhood, being no more bruised, beaten, and broken than corporate meat ranch cattle could. Disparities in the corridor, rooting, and his blood coughing while his mom's drinking coffee in the living room just watching. Parents beat child, child becomes parent, parent beats child, child becomes my father beats us, and I am just trying to break a chain of backbreaking suffering you didn't start. My dad was a toy soldier in a country where the government was in the hands of one military dictatorship after another, and poverty was abundant. A revolution was on the horizon, being recruited for military training at the age of 14 and entering one of the bloodiest civil wars in all of Latin America in 1980. That war killed 75,000 people in El Salvador alone and left thousands of others misplaced and without homes, death squads at every corner, destroying villages if they suspected they were helping guerrilla groups. And it didn't help that Ronald Reagan felt the need to spend arms on government troops and nearly $7 billion in 10 years of foreign and military aid. But the guerrillas kept coming because they'd rather die than stand living in economic chains. And one day my dad stepped over that front line in search of his casket when a bullet flew by him so fast that it ignited the air around him. And then he ran, blazing a trail to Mexico, because war will do that to you and will leave you gasping for air, wondering where your lungs went until you realize that it's left a hole the size of a cannonball inside you. There is a big difference between a coward and a survivor. The rest is history. My dad slowly went insane. He crumpled up our picture-perfect family portrait and threw it away, and with it the hopes of ever finding my real dad. And I wonder, how could you ever move forward when your past is pulling you back at every square centimeter of your mind, and every time you try to release the suffering in your chest, it just comes out as anger? The art of healing is a long process. And just because you didn't take the time to heal doesn't mean what you did to our family was justified, but it does answer a lot of questions. Ones that I've been asking since that day in 5th grade when my mom told me after school that they had deported you back to El Salvador. Dad, I just want to say that there's too much love in my heart for me to hate you, and that forgiveness is a kind of love that I'm willing to give you the next time you call.